Welcome to Management 104 Business Communications. This class is really designed for you to sit down, learn all the different details there is to how to communicate. Most of you can communicate really well already. We're going to sit there, fine tune some skills, give you some formats. I want to prepare you for two things. Number one, I want to prepare you to make sure you pass this class very well. If you do all the assignments, there's a really good chance that you'll sit down and you get an A or a B in this class. Don't do them, well, who knows what'll happen. But that being said, make sure you turn them all in on time in the process as we go through. This is a good class. You're going to learn also a huge amount of practical, hands-on information. One of the things, my second goal is handle the academics. I want you to excel academically. The second part is I want you to leave this class with some skill sets so that when you go out into the business world, that you're going to be well equipped to sit down there and handle things as they come to you. Anywhere from dealing with the really good stuff to motivate people through email, motivate people through talk, motivate people through report, sitting down selling a product, or even having to do some of the difficult things such as disciplinary actions and so on. All of those really come through communications. This is a major skill for you to learn in the process you go through. Let me go back a little bit and tell you about myself, because I'm going to hear about you shortly as you do your very first assignment. I'm a community college graduate myself. I went to Macomb Community College in Warren, Michigan. So I went there and I'm 17 years old. I walk into a giant gymnasium and they have signs hanging from the ceiling. We didn't have the computer programming that you have right now to sign up. We had to do everything manually. So you had to go through different stations. There's over 30 stations. They have a big number, go here to here to here. Well, I'm going through line and I'm waiting to sit down and talk to my counselor to sign up for my classes, specifically my English class, and they're arguing about what place we're going to go buy and get pizza. After minutes of this, I was a bit impatient. So I said, hey, I'm going to sign up for the very first course. That's English. That makes sense. English. Let me start with course number one. And I did. I signed up for the very first English course, except it was a pre-college English course and set in order, and I didn't know anything about the numbers, so I signed up for it. And I get to class, and I'm looking around the class, and I'm the smartest student in the whole class. But that doesn't mean very much, not at all. No, not at all. This is the day and age when drugs took their toll upon the young people. Not that we have those today, oh no. But that being said, I'm in the room and I'm looking around thinking, okay, I'm the smartest one here. Why? And the teacher says, why are you in this class, David? I told him the story. He says, let me do this. He pulls me out of class and he gives me an individual study project, something that's really unusual for somebody in their first semester of college. He puts me in a special area and I have to learn how to speed read. By the time I'm done at the end of the class and report to him on a regular basis, I'm reading at a rate of between 990 to 994 words per minute with a retention rate of 92 to 94% of what I'm reading. And it's all measured on the different scales they had in the process over there. He gave me probably the greatest gift any teacher could ever give me. He gave me something that I use every single day of my life. Those are big shoes to sit there and follow in as a college professor myself. Like, oh my gosh, maybe I can do the same thing that Dr. Rob Avery did to me. That being said, that is a fabulous gift. The two best teachers out of all the different colleges I've gone to, the two best ones were community college professors. The other one is a friend of mine to this day, Professor Tom Cook. He was a tyrant. He had really bad jokes. Like, if you hear some of my jokes, and my jokes are pretty bad as you go through. I do a lot of dad jokes, and worse, I do puns as you go through. Even though I may not see you because you may be online, you have an obligation to laugh at my jokes, or if it's a bad pun, you should groan in the process. Either way, it's a positive thing for you. Let me give you an example of Professor Cook's joke. It was a music class. He's a music professor, and my goal back then was to be a musicologist or a composer. I know it sounds really weird. I'm teaching business. Okay, I got it. Okay, so that being said, once upon a time in Germany, they were going through a museum and they went down into the basement of the museum on a tour. And the tour guide looks way off in the corner. There is a candle. It looks like a light that just kind of guttering a draft and created by some kind of flame. And so the group goes over there and he walks over and he says, there's an old man and he's working at this desk. He's got a giant eraser and he's pulling manuscript paper, the kind of paper they write notes on for music, and he's erasing the paper. And when he finishes that, he grabs the next piece of paper and he's working feverishly as he's working. And so the guy asked him, says, "Who are you and what are you doing?" He says, "My name is Ludwig van Beethoven," as he erases. "But you cannot be Beethoven. He has been dead 200 years. But as you can see, as the man continues to erase, I have been busy." He's erasing the notes off the page. "I've been busy decomposing." Yes, that's my role model. Bad jokes, you'll hear them all class long as you go through. The other part I learned also is one of the best tools I ever learned from Dr. Rob Avery was a thing called Strong's Interest Inventory. In my mind, I had a whole series of things. I had 5 different majors planned, anywhere from being a writer to being an English major, being a college professor for kinesiology, being this, being a composer in the process. I had a whole bunch of things, except the Strong's Interest Inventory said that I would really be well suited to be a CPA or an accountant. I thought, numbers, ooh, yuck, who wants to do that? Or an attorney. Who wants to defend criminals? That's not, in my mind, that's all attorneys do. I don't realize the broad scope that meant. Or of all things, a chief human resource officer. I didn't even know what that was. The test said my interest is there and I have a good capacity for that. I should check those out. I reacted against the test, thinking it was crazy in the process, except here's the history. I've been a chief human resource officer for 17 years and a chief negotiator in the process. I've been a chief business officer with a really strong financial background. I've had budgets from $52 million to $811 million. I've handled the legal affairs for 2 different college districts. I have to tell you, community college is a great launching point, and the fact that you are here in this class means a couple of things. Number one, you're wise financially. You sit down and you're going to save a lot of money, because really the first 2 years of college, a lot of them is general instructional materials, and that is part of what this class is about as well. You're going to have a small class size. That being said, our classes are typically about 45 students. When you first walk into a university, you may be one of 175 to 250 students, and the teacher will never take time out to try to learn your name, because it really isn't done in the process. Also, it's a commuter school. You can sit down and drive to campus, or you can just turn it on online like this as you go through in the process. There's a young man that I know, he sat down there and he really pursued the aspect of doing a couple things. First of all, he talked to his parents about the idea. The parents saved for 4 years for him to go away to college. He said, "You know what, I'm going to stay home. If I stay home, can I use that money later on for maybe a master's degree if I pursue it, or something even bigger than that?" "Yeah, we can do that." Okay, so he went off to Saddleback College and also to IVC in the process. This, by the way, is my son's story. So he went to both colleges and he saved the money and he pushed and he made certain he graduated in 2 years. Then he enrolled at Chapman, then he enrolled over at the local college in Concordia, and he got his bachelor's degree in 4 years. From there, he had enough money left over. He picked up a part-time job and he started working at Chapman and he got his MBA. Now, here is the kicker of the whole thing. He got his MBA and he did it debt-free. Now, when you start talking about the aspect of being debt-free after a master's degree, especially an MBA, that's a big deal. The woman that he ended up marrying, she followed maybe kind of a similar process, but she went to UCI, and by the time she graduated with her master's degree in accounting, she ended up having an $81,000 debt, just about what it costs to put a down payment on a house. They sat down and they struggled financially in that regards. So now they have this big debt hanging over them because she didn't use her time wisely in the aspect of looking for the future. You are doing that right now by being here. You are a wise student in regards to that. Here's some more of my background. I have an Associate of Arts in the Liberal Arts from Macomb Community College, a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration from Wayne State University, with 2 specializations, one in management, one in a thing called industrial relations, or we call it human resources today. I have an MBA from Oakland University and a PhD from a place called the Union Institute University in Org Behavior as well. So I have 4 different degrees, and I really have some interesting background. My first job out of college was actually in a retail store called Minnesota Fabrics. Yes, it was a fabric store. a 3-year training program. We went through, rotated through all the departments in the store, and I got my own store in the process. In my own store, the first year of my store, we ended up, when they took it over, we were 19 out of 20 in profitability. After 1 year, we were 6 out of 20 in profitability. We did a lot of different changes there. We embraced innovation to the nth degree in all things of a fabric store. So now, but that being said, I have to tell you, that training program, that was fabulous. I went from sitting as a full-time student to working full-time in retail, 55 to 65 hours every single week. It was hard work. And you had to make 10 to 12 decisions every single hour as you go through. There, if you make one wrong mistake, somebody could report you to your boss. Somebody even sent a letter to the company president because of the fact they didn't get what they wanted right there on the spot. Fortunately, I was absolved of any wrongdoing. But that being said, that's how it was. Retail is a great place to learn how to deal with people and how to manage them to the nth degree in the process. From there, I had a knack for organizing things. I became a principal of a K-12 school, a Christian school. And then from there, I went on to become a general manager of a giant housing cooperative called Kramer Homes Housing Cooperative, which really is actually owns 17% of the entire city of Centerline's housing. Kind of an interesting aspect of it. From there, I became a facilities manager at Fitzgerald Public Schools. And then I ended up going to my first college job, being the chief financial officer at Oakland Community College in Auburn Hills, Michigan, where I was director of campus services. From there, I got promoted into being in charge of all 5 colleges as a director of operations. And then of all things, I came over here to California to become vice president of human resources on my very first job as in human resources. From there, I became vice chancellor of HR, and then eventually now I transferred over to be a professor of business here at IVC. So that being said, for fun, I've written 4 different books, several, probably dozens of articles, and been a conference speaker multiple times. Probably my most serious work is called Backboneology: Tough Decisions at Work. It's on Amazon. I also have written Naked Turtle Dances, a poem book, Zombie Dearest, Poem Sharing Zombies, and also a children's book called Vietnamese American Pride. I'm also a playwright. I did a musical comedy called Zombie Dearest, premiering here at IVC back in 2018. So that being said, contact me by email or phone. The appointments, if you have an office schedule, that'll be in your syllabus, but a lot of times I do appointments by arrangement, so drop me an email. With that, looking forward to a great semester working with you, because our first thing is going to be, I want to hear about you on our first discussion board for the class. Take care.